was talking to my roommate the other day. Like, human beings are disgusting, and everything gives you cancer. So when I work with carcinogens in the lab, I don't care anymore what I eat. Like, oh, this apple juice might have arsenic in it, but it's so tiny. Yeah, I'm gonna die from cancer anyway. I don't care. So,
like that guy in the back smoking a cigarette, like, this don't kill me, something else will.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to do the things that are really cancerous. Like, I'm not going to go and, eat a chunk of asbestos, but,
You don't need to eat asbestos, smoke cigarettes,
just need to,
Quake and Sun should be together. I mean, there's all forms of cancer.
Yeah.
Maybe you should eat asparagus instead of asbestos.
Maybe.
Yeah, at least then your piss just comes out smelling like sulfur.
Yeah. And now on to
yeah.
our actual topic.
Have we been filming this whole time?
Oh,
We
yeah.
have been filming, and before we get to the topic...
Wait, no, not yet.
No, because this is where you do your dumb edit.
No.
God damn it.
Roll the intro. All right,
you faggot, it ran. Jesus. Welcome. Today is Friday, July 28th, 2017. GamerKulture is the drive, passion, and dedication to all things in gaming by the Grand Geek Gathering. The ever-changing world of gamer culture involves communities of all types, the evolving industry that surrounds us, and the people who use it for the betterment of all. No, I am not apologizing for the F word because it was funny in that context. Today I am joined by my power cast.
We have a full house today.
We actually have everyone here.
And it caused like so many problems in video editing.
It did.
This is why usually we try to get these out before, but we actually got together about 5 minutes before the podcast started, then realized Wildcard's actually been flying OBS and Skype by the seat of his pants for the last few months. Because we haven't had a full cast in so long. We didn't realize how borked Skype has been, apparently. And we didn't know how to make all four places fit.
I did.
But Squeaky was able to figure it out.
Because Squeaky actually has a working OBS, and mine won't.
I rock. They hate you. I rock.
Yeah,
they
I know.
Hate you.
I love the idea that OBS does work. It just doesn't like you. It's like, no, not him. Her, fine.
I swear, there are some like computer programs and instruments that I've worked with personally that have developed sentience enough to be spiteful.
They're just sexist and just spiteful beings.
I'm not even kidding. The instrument I work on, you can walk in one day and it'll be malfunctioning, and then walk in the next day and it'll be fine. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it.
And that is Robo Stephanie.
Everybody take a drink for
here.
Robo Stephanie.
And that was Robo Emily.
She's fine so far
So
for me.
Kuma,
What?
We're okay.
Kuma, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about an awesome, exciting topic that absolutely will get under nobody's skin and trigger nobody's warnings. I'm kidding, of course. I'm speaking about fan service in video games.
Melons, Hooters, haha, jugs.
If you
Hoochies,
consider it that
coochies,
way.
and everything in between.
Mostly just sexy outfits.
All that and more on today's GamerKulture show. So today we're going to be talking about fan service in gaming. This is something that's been around in years for gaming. We see it in anime, we see it in video games, all the way back to the Princess in Distress, the classic damsel in distress, the idea of the shining knight, male character having to go save the helpless female lead, all the way up to today. We still see it, women in outfits that have no business supporting them in any way. Gravity is completely defied. And not just in female characters, but we see it in male characters too. The idea.
If you're gonna go on about female characters, let me talk about the intro to Devil May Cry.
All right. Oh yeah. No, please, because I'm sure we're gonna talk
Or you can talk about it's like when so a lot of people got really upset about Quiet's outfit in Metal Gear Solid 5, but in that same game you could play as a shirtless big boss, and it's not not sexy looking. Let me just put it that way. I mean, he's pretty good looking without a shirt. So it does work both ways. It does.
Before we start talking about bisexual standards, working both ways, let's talk about each of our individual feelings, starting with the ladies first. Bookworm, go right ahead. How do you feel about fan service in video games?
I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with it, and I think it does have a place. My thing is that it should at least be integral to the storyline, unless you're playing something that is just super goofy and it doesn't make any sense, or something that plays on the tropes, and that's completely fine with it not being explicitly stated, or it should just be something optional. But I think there is something as gratuitous fan service. Like, there's a game, like, okay, so a lot of people speak out about Dead or Alive, which is a fighting game, and I played the fighting game. We all know,
I have a lot to say about Dead or Alive.
We all know that there is a subset of Dead or Alive. Okay, so the fighting game itself is fine, because fighting games.
That's not what we're talking about. Extreme Beach Volleyball. Woo!
Yes, but then there's the spin-off, which is Extreme Beach Volleyball, and then there's a few other, subsets to it, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, if that's your thing, I'm not gonna buy it, because that just seems like a really weird.
And that's why it's not available in America anymore, because people didn't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but
Dead or Alive is a series that its own fan service ate it up.
Yeah.
Like, Dead or Alive is a really solid and really good fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, but people only see the jiggles.
But you could say that about a lot of fighting games, though. Not to the extent that it's been eaten up out of Dead or Alive.
King of Fighters. With Mai.
Really, any fighting game that has a female character, you're gonna have some fan service. And I will say, I don't like to play the sexism card, because I don't think it is sexist, because I do think, even though there are more girls in gaming today than there have been probably previously, there still is the majority men. So obviously there's a lot more female-based fan service than there is guy fan service. But and by that I mean, guys that are specifically made to be fan service, not guy-based fan service. But I mean, any game that has chicks in it is gonna have some fan service. That's just pretty much it.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem with it.
Any game.
All right. So next on the list is Squeaky Bear Gamer.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna love your opinions today, because that's not water you're drinking; it's gin.
Yes.
So please go ahead. How do you feel about fan service in video games?
I ignore it for the most part, just to be honest, because it's not my thing. I'm very.
But it's there for you. If you're a fan of the game, it's service to you.
It's service
Hence the name.
for the people.
Fan service.
Well, I'm not the fan that they are servicing. Exactly. So,
oh, come on. Don't you think Owlboy is at least a little attractive?
Owlboy. I would say
be
that.
Be careful how you answer this, because if it's anything but no, we're gonna have to end the podcast now and put you into FBI hiding.
I think he's very cute. Let's go with that, okay?
You heard it here, folks. She thinks Owlboy's cute. Cut, press, check the gate. Moving on.
Okay, so I'm gonna go
I honestly
into.
have no idea how old Owlboy is. I'm just throwing that up right now because I saw that was the last thing you played on your stream.
Yes, it was. So anyways, the only kind of fan servicing that I ever get in the video games that I play are like those moments where you see the characters who are women. They were like, oh, they were kind of ugly at the beginning, and then suddenly, oh, they're beautiful and sexy at the very end. So my takeaway, especially of it, is in Zelda Twilight Princess, we have Midna turns into the beautiful, hot Twilight Princess at the very end. So that's the only version of fan servicing that I'm going to get from it.
Okay, Wildcard. How do you feel about fan service?
All this talk about sexuality, like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Poker Night 2 at the Inventory is a great game, and it's all fan service.
All right, and this is a very different kind of fan
different
service.
One,
so
yes.
Elaborate. Please elaborate.
Because, I mean, it's, you get Max, which one's the dog, which one's the rabbit in Sam and Max? I never.
Max is the dog.
Yeah, you get
Max is
Max.
the dog.
You have Ash from The Evil Dead. Freaking Claptrap from Borderlands and Brock Sampson from the Venture Brothers. I mean, come on. Come on. That is fan service to geeks. Like, and your dealer is GLaDOS.
Yes. It's beautiful. And GLaDOS and Claptrap have this kind of like sexual tension type of thing, and it's so beautiful perfectly.
It is pure fan service.
And you
I mean,
can,
yeah. I mean, Moxie's there, but I mean, it's Moxie.
I mean,
in which I will probably be streaming that game soon.
Nope.
You can talk. I think with fan service, a lot of people think it's sexual, but you're totally right. And I could bring up fighting games with that again because there's always guest characters in major fighting games, and they are always fan service.
I would say a lot of the times fighting games are pure fan service because Mortal Kombat is pure fan service of just brutality, like all the time. Yeah, like itself
or,
is.
Like,
and now there's Jason and Alien, and you can't tell me that those are not fan service. The fact that they're present.
Well, here's the thing: are they fan service, or are they just very self-referential in their fan service? It's not necessarily, oh, look how gruesome it is. We know you guys like gruesome. It's more like, hey, we know you like Jason references, so here's Jason references.
Okay, here's the thing about it. This is something that I watched in a video. I can't remember the name. It's Gaijin Goomba.
Gaijin Goomba.
Yeah, from Game Theory, he was explaining that he believes that
he's
fan service. Yeah, he was explaining that fan service happens when in a video game you can't recall the plot, but you remember the execution and the funness of the game. So if you can't remember the plot of Mortal Kombat, it's a fan service game.
So pretty much any fighting game.
That's really
like that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's really fighting games in a nutshell. But is that really true? So, like, if you remember the story from a game, does fan service not count? Or are you talking about if it's a fan service game, a game that's meant to be fan service?
It can be defined as a fan service game. Not that it is, but can be defined as. And you have an argument for that.
So then, God, what was that game? Catherine?
Oh, yeah. That's a fan service game all the way. All the way. Like,
but doesn't Catherine have a plot?
It actually does have a
good
gameplay.
It has a good plot.
It's character driven.
In that case, it's actually kind of switched. The gameplay is overshadowed by the plot itself, which is a huge fan service like story. Okay. Because nobody likes the gameplay. Like, I was watching PewDiePie, and every time that he had to do that freaking stinking wall going up it, he was like always hating it, and I'm like, I'm gonna fast forward through this because this is boring stuff. I want to get to the story.
People play Catherine for the story. They actually do not play for the gameplay. And it does have a pretty interesting story to it, but it is totally fan servicey.
On the other end of the spectrum, there's Seren Kagura.
Seren Kagura?
Yeah. Oh, come on, Kuma. You've linked me this video quite a few times.
Seren Kagura.
The girls in the bikinis, they're shooting water guns at each other.
Oh, that game that's coming out in September?
Yeah. It's based on an anime about ninjas.
FPS with water guns. And they're all
the actual game series itself plays more like Dynasty Warriors.
I thought it looked like Splatoon when I was reading stuff about it. Like a weird adult version of Splatoon with water guns.
And I think it looks like Splatoon because of the water guns and it's very colorful.
Yeah.
I don't know how the FPS mechanic works, whether it's hit someone and they die, or whether you're trying to cover everything in water. But yeah, I mean, that is a game that's clearly for the fan service. Now, it could be a sleeper hit where the gameplay could actually be good. Who knows until the game actually comes out.
I mean, there's already a series of games based on the same property that's out right now.
Yeah, yes, but we're talking about that actual, like, the FPS Splatoon style water gun fight.
You can also kind of get an idea if it's going to be this doesn't always work, but you can kind of get an idea if it's going to be a hit if it's released in Japan and it does really well, but that's not always accurate because there's a lot of games that do well in Japan that don't do well over here, but
or don't even make it here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm going to weigh in on my opinion on fan service in games. I do really like Card's take on service in games. How you can have a game that's fan service without being perverted, being a game that is meant to be like a love letter to the fans who are going to play it. Um, games that have fan service in them versus fan service games. Fan service games are obviously just sort of trash, throwaway, like, here's a bunch of sexy people doing things that highlight them being sexy.
If you label it that way.
Yeah. If you look at it that way, if you enjoy it that way. Typically, the gameplay may not be that great. Look at a game like Honey Pop.
Honey Pop is so nice.
Hentai dating sim.
But it is so popular. There has to be something to it.
Oh,
here's the thing. People really, I don't get it. People really like dating sims.
Dating sims are so fun.
Why Honey Pop specifically and not the hundreds of others?
Because Honey Pop is it's a very good, very cute dating sim that also takes into the match 3 style game design, which was also super kind of popular at the time that people really enjoy. So you had two kind of hot trends that people really liked. You had a match 3 with a dating sim. And then they wove in the sexual aspect of trying to get these women naked and sleep with them, and get dirty pictures every time you did. And let's be real, that was the buzz draw of the game. People came to the game for that. They might stick around because they enjoy the gameplay, but in terms of like putting it out on YouTube videos or Twitch, there were Twitch-friendly versions where it would censor that stuff. But or on YouTube, people would add in their own censorship. But let's be real, that's what people were there for. My other argument is for games that
I think Bookworm has an argument.
Well, hang on.
I just was gonna say that, and also that's not a new thing. Games have like Honey Pop have always exist. Like even if you go back into maybe not the Atari 600, but like the NES days, they had those adult-only games where basically it was kind of like a really old-fashioned version of Honey Pop, where you were like matching tiles or answering trivia questions, and you got to see boobs.
The other side of it is games that have fan service moments or characters in it, or just characters that are meant to be sexy. And again, sexy is completely subjective. Certain characters might not be, sexy to an individual. So other characters might be sexy for other reasons. It's when you have a character doing something or looking a certain way that is specifically meant to be sexy and meant to kind of like show off the sexiness. Look at Final Fantasy X. You have a character like Lulu. Lulu was a very dark, kind of seductress type character. Even though that wasn't her personality, her outfit was literally a big fur coat and black boots held together by belts, and everything was just kind of hanging down by gravity.
Everything was there to see.
Whenever she would win in combat, she would lean down, dust off her knees, and then just lean over, and her boobs would just sway. That was her victory.
Also, if you ever used a melee attack, she bent over once again to release her little doll. And I'm not even kidding. Like, and I like that at least.
Typically, unless the game decided to do a camera zoom, usually when you killed an enemy, usually you're just staring at her back, which her coat went all the way down to her feet. So it's not like her butt was hanging out. You barely saw her legs because the belts were wrapping everything. But yeah, if you killed an enemy with it, if you killed an enemy with a melee attack on Lulu, congrats.
Yeah, exactly.
There's that. And then there's Riku in X2.
Okay, yeah. Riku in X2 was literally, how do we take this 16-year-old girl and sexualize her? Because Japan. She went from the first game, she was wearing shorts, kind of a vest, belts and buckles, because it's Final Fantasy. But it made sense because when you first meet, or when you meet her again and you see her first outfit's like a skin-tight diving suit. When she takes that off, the second time you meet her later in the game, she's wearing this very kind of like very showy,
it's a sleeveless orange turtleneck with green shorts.
And it works because it's like, oh, this is a girl who lives in the desert, and she's a treasure hunter by livelihood. this outfit makes sense.
And if you look when you get on the Al Bhed ship, pretty much everybody is dressed in like either clothing that exposes a lot of skin or whatever because they live in the desert.
Yeah, what is it? Her brother.
I'll admit,
was like suspenders.
It would be hilarious if her little short shorts were standard issue to everyone.
Seeing Sid or brother in those, you're like, ew.
Oh my god, no.
Well,
but yeah, in the second game, they decided let's give her basically a belt because though that isn't a skirt, it's a belt, a very thick belt, an orange thong, and a bikini top, and let's make her hair look very Rasta, and that is her outfit.
Hey, she's got gloves, boots, and weird things on her arms, too.
Yeah, like, all of her outfits, with the exception of a few, are definitely the more sexual of the other girls. Pain is usually covered up pretty well. Yuna's usually pretty modest, maybe a bit of cleavage or some leg. Riku is always like, how much skin can I get away with showing that makes sense in this outfit? I think the only ones she's fully enclothed are the Dark Knight, the Alchemist, and the Mascot. I think that's it.
She's definitely close to the Mascot.
Oh, and then if you go, there's one level where if you do everything in that level like correctly, there's a special scene where they're chilling in a hot spring. Like
I never got that. My high school self would have loved that.
See, my high school self was like, oh, if you 100% this game, you get a scene with Titus. So I guess I'm 100%ing this game. So I bought the guidebook for it. But yeah, that was one of the scenes that you get. And it's one of those things where it's like, really? Like, did we need to sexualize Riku? Like, did we really? I get she's like the cute bubbly one, but how come we always have to sexualize the cute one?
Because that's Japan.
And if you want a more recent version of that, because Final Fantasy X is, it's not a super old game, but it's getting there.
2008?
Yeah. I'm going to bring up Metal Gear Solid 5 again, particularly the character of Quiet. And, like, okay, so small spoilers, because I guess it's a year old, I guess, or 2 years old now. Quiet is dressed the way she is because she breathes through her skin, and I'm not going to explicitly go into why she breathes through her skin. Just it's Kojima craziness, and we'll just go with that. And so that's why she's dressed the way she is. Which, okay, I'm playing the game, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. And I'm not someone who's a prude by any means, so it didn't bother me. But there is like when you're in the helicopter and she's doing yoga poses.
Yeah.
And like your face is right there, and I'm just going, really? We're doing this?
Yeah, and then the scene where they get to the platform and it's raining.
Oh my! See,
and she's like, and I get it's actually supposed to. It's his vision is that it was probably supposed to be a very innocent moment, because this is like, for someone who like experiences the world through her skin, and that was his explanation was, oh, she breathes through her skin.
That was less sexual to me, and more of I'm just laughing my ass off because it looks ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
His vision was probably supposed to be it's very innocent. This is her first time experiencing something like this. She was being kind of playful. The problem is it's almost like a Jessica Rabbit thing of, I'm not bad, I'm drawn that way. She looks so sexual because she's, meant to look like, she's very leggy, her boobs are hanging out. It looks sexual, it looks flirty. That was the problem that kind of went with that scene. It's like, I get it. She's this character who's probably never experienced rain. This is something new to her. She experiences so much of the world through her skin. So this has got to be like sensory overload for her.
And she can't talk, so her like actions have to be very exaggerated. Yeah. So and the thing is I do like Quiet as a character, but then there's like some of those moments where I'm just like, okay, this is getting ridiculous.
Well, then there's the whole scene where like if you come back like stinky from the mission on your birthday, she takes a shower with you.
yeah.
It's like.
And I mean, there's always been that fan service in games, especially Metal Gear.
Robot Stephanie returns.
Robot.
expecting it. But
Robot.
Beep boop bop boop beep.
Is it so
Yep, that's
bad?
Robo Bookworm.
Oh God.
Robo Worm is here.
Okay, you're better.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, in the Metal Gear series, there's always been this kind of like fan servicey thing, and I like the Metal Gear series, so I'm just kind of used to it. But there are some scenes where I'm just sitting here going, "This is ridiculous. I can't take this as a serious game."
The only thing that I can think of is from Metal Gear Awesome. It's like, hey, look at Meryl's ass. It's a nice ass, isn't it? You're gonna have to remember it later.
In Metal Gear Solid 2, when it's actually a very serious scene, and I'm just sitting there doing cartwheels naked.
Yeah,
I can.
And he's like very casually just holding his hands right in the right place, and just like he's holding his joystick. That's exactly what he's doing. Yeah, it helps him control his flips and everything.
So, and it's something I want to bring up is that I don't want to seem like we're insulting anyone who enjoys this stuff. No. Like people are free to. I am
not insulted.
I mean, shoot, man, I'm as Tumblr would probably put it, I'm a terrible cisgendered male. I enjoy the female form. I think it is very attractive.
Oh, wait, thank you.
You're welcome, ladies. And I certainly enjoy seeing a sexually rendered pile of polygons on my screen.
You're also talking to a girl who plays Japanese games where they have those alternate costumes, and I play in the alternate costumes, so I am not judging whatsoever.
Oh, I played the Tales series. The Tales series always has beach outfits, and even though some of the younger characters are typically like one pieces, or maybe some of the characters might be like, the female characters might be like a bikini with a t-shirt over it, there's always invariably one of the female characters is full on just bikini. But again, if the game is telling me, hey, this is what, like, hey, this is all that's here to enjoy, it's like, look, guys, I can go watch porn. I was here for a video game.
Some people like video games that way.
And if you do, like, great.
I mean, have you seen what people have made with Source Filmmaker?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not just the female form that's on display. Who brought up Dante?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
So explain that scene that you first see this guy in.
He's completely naked. I think it's in the first game, or I know it's in one of the original games, and it's in the reboot.
It's the one with the pool hall, right? Where he's shirtless.
No, he's completely naked.
Is he? I just thought he was shirtless.
He is completely naked.
I've not paid attention to that scene.
And of course, there's items in the way,
yeah, it's strategic.
Yeah,
strategically in the way, and then I know in the reboot he opens the door, and there's the female lead, seeing him in all of his glory.
Yeah,
it's in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's in the first game, and I know it's in the reboot. They do the same thing in the reboot.
Isn't he eating pizza too?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pizza hanging from his mouth. Yeah,
he's naked eating pizza.
Actually, in the reboot, they use a piece of pizza as censorship flying around with him.
Love it. I love it.
That's actually but I mean, and I've been playing Mass Effect Andromeda, which even with its flaws, I'm still enjoying it quite a lot.
That's different.
Oh no. There's I'm playing as a female main, and I have seen Liam shirtless every time I have a cutscene with him.
Is that on purpose? Is that on purpose?
No, because I'm not trying to date him. No, I mean literally.
Maybe he's trying to date you.
But I'm just saying.
Well, I'm saying in the original Mass Effect games, it's really tasteful. There's romance in there.
Yeah.
It's not wank material. It's to show romance.
I mean, and there's plenty of games out right now where it's absolutely meant for those who enjoy. I almost said women. Those who enjoy the male form. Anyone heard of Dream Daddy out right now?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes.
It is everywhere.
Everywhere.
everyone is playing Dream Daddy right now, and it is a dating sim where you are a dad who I think you like moved to a new town with your daughter. Your spouse has passed away recently, and there is a smorgasbord of daddies on display for you to meet and romance.
It's a gay male dating sim that is played almost exclusively by women. Literally, from what I'm
male
getting.
YouTubers.
Yeah, and
A
every
lot
male
of
YouTuber
male
ever.
YouTubers play it. Yeah.
I'm just going by what I've seen on Tumblr, and I'm pretty sure because I go on there for reasons, and like I've seen some people like I went to Dream Daddy just to see what was going on. Which, first of all, I don't know why I thought I wasn't gonna find porn because that was like the first thing that popped up.
Gosh.
But
daddies fucking other daddies. Like, I mean, it's good wholesome family fun.
But I'm thinking from what I saw in there, there's a lot of girls playing this game for their fan servicing needs. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, and then yeah, and Jack brings up a good point. Like, there's still straight people who play it, either because they think it's funny or because I was watching Markiplier play an episode, and the first 50% of the episode was actually you talking to your daughter because she's dealing with like teen drama, like drama with her friends. And I thought the whole game was just meant to be this kind of like silly, like, okay, here's a bunch of like stereotype dad characters, like, you know, go nuts. But no, there's actually like a nice story. It's like, yeah, your dad is trying to find romance, but he's also raising his daughter. So it's like, and you have choices with her too. It's, you know, she's one night she's crying in her room. Do you go in and check on her? Do you press her to see what's wrong, or do you walk away? You know, is she going to get mad at you for walking away, or she's going to get mad at you for staying? And that has different paths. I'm like, this is actually a cool little story. I wouldn't have expected this to be in this game.
Now, imagine if the genders were flipped. Imagine
then it
that.
would be pretty much every other dating sim.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, how many games are there where it's like, oh, mommy, and then like you're dating other women as a woman like that?
Oh, you mean it's like a lesbian, like,
Yeah.
like mommy?
Don't
mommy.
be very careful because someone did a gender bend art and of that game. I know that this is really off topic, and they started getting harassed by fans.
Yeah, I know
Seriously?
exactly who that is. I saw
you
that
know
exact picture.
You saw it? Yeah.
Yeah.
The creators had to step in and be like, stop harassing this person. Like, it's Steven Universe all over again. God damn it.
Everybody's going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, you know, that means that people can't have the creative freedom to just kind of mess around however they want. I get why people would be upset, but I also don't and think they should shut up. But yeah, no, it's you see plenty of fan service from kind of every aspect and every corner, and it doesn't just have to be sexual. Watching Markiplier play it, it's like, this is actually like odd, like strangely touching. I'm like, this is actually kind of sweet, and I'm talking about two fictional gay dudes, you know, out in the woods having a camp out.
I mean, and that's the thing that, you know, so you can have fan service in a game. You can even have a fan servicey game and still have a very touching story with well-developed characters that you like. I mean, fan service is not inherently bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even bad in games that have a shit story and no character development. If that's what you enjoy, that's what you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I want to
right
point out? A
context,
game that has
incredible.
Yes.
it has good fan service, but doesn't actually throw it in your face as fan service and is still a good game. Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Bayonetta is this, she exudes confidence and strength and sensuality, and she clearly like uses that sensuality in her combat style, but she doesn't come off as like a slut. She doesn't come off as this sexualized character. She just comes off as like, you know, I'm sexy and I know it.
I think it kind of does. I think it kind of does come off as, I mean, not necessarily in the term of like all the way slut, but definitely like,
She's not an all the way slut.
She's like very like.
She's a high class slut for like politicians and
yes,
CEOs.
That's more of it. It's more of the kind of person who is like a prestigious one, and yeah, and for those kind of reasons, that's too far for me. And that's why I haven't played the Bayonetta games, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I can be okay with that. Other people can enjoy it.
I've played Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2. It's two games I've actually completed almost 100%.
Wow.
And I will say that some people could describe her as a slut, but the way I looked at it after playing the games and getting to know the character, because she is a very deep character. She's not just boobs with a face.
No.
And it's just I'm not picking on Squeaky. I'm just saying because a lot of people look at this game and that's what they think it is. They think it's all fan service, and I'm like, no, it's got this very deep, touching story, and there's a lot of character development. There's not even a romance story in either game.
No.
The first game is about her figuring out what happened in her past, and the second game is about saving her friend who's a girl.
Yeah.
And it's very just a very good story, and it does have fan servicey moments, but I don't know, and I didn't see her as a slut when I played it. I saw it as somebody who's very confident in their sexuality and knows.
And I think that's what I meant. Like when I said she's not sexualized, I mean she's not used as just like a sex icon in the game. She's definitely a sexualized character.
And if you go into the development process of that game, because I like watching videos on the history of certain games or whatever. The developer, the person who created Bayonetta, is a female, and she created it as a power fantasy for herself. So it's meant to be a character who's very powerful. And very
Jackson Chat said, she's very open with her sexual desires. It's more like she doesn't really care about who knows who she wants to have sex with. She definitely exudes that idea of I am who I am, and she's not portrayed as sexually loose, but she's still open with herself. She's almost like a male version or a female version of, why can I not remember his name? I'm a terrible gamer.
Dante?
No, The Witcher.
Geralt.
It's very much. It's yeah. Look, I'm here to bone some people, but I'm also here to be a badass.
My gosh.
No.
And she gives that to me. She gives that impression of
I didn't make the
look, I'm here to.
You're
she's
right.
look, you and me later. I have to kill some dudes, but you and me.
Yeah. And you do see that with Luca in the first game, and it's been so long since I played the second game. I can't remember if Luca's in the second game, but he's definitely in the first game. Because there's another male character in the second game called Loki, but it's not sexual because he's mostly portrayed as a child, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Yeah, it's oh.
Yeah, fun stuff. So,
one thing I would like to see more, it's just in media in general, more strong female characters, more sexy, strong female characters that know they're sexy and know how to use their sexiness to get what they want.
Now, let me say something about that, and then I want to hear Bookworm's and Squeaky's opinions on that, because what makes for a strong female character who can use her sexuality but not be in danger of being called out on just being a sexual character?
Are you asking me right now? Oh.
Yeah.
Anyone.
I mean, Bayonetta does that character right. The thing that I see a lot of the times when this is being done, and it's usually because a writer is inexperienced, but sometimes it's just because a company is trying to throw women in there, is they'll make a woman who is, free with her sexuality and super powerful, but then she comes off as an annoying Mary Sue, and I don't want to read about her. Another good character that was super powerful was Buffy, because Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this doesn't have to do with games, but if we're talking about female characters, I got to bring her up because she was a character who was tough and was able to save the world and do all these things, but she was also still very feminine, and she had flaws, and she had character development. And I think that's how Bayonetta and Buffy get it right, is because they are these strong characters with some sexual overtones. They're definitely attractive, but they're still super flawed. There's reasons for me to like that character. They're not just completely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Jax brings up an interesting point that I'm only going to agree with a little bit on Jax. He brings up Lara Croft, Samus, the women in the Uncharted games, Liara or Tali from Mass Effect. I'm going to give you Lara, because Lara is definitely a character has a strong legacy of sexuality because of her large bust, which started out as an accident.
Yeah.
Someone accidentally set the slider on her side. Oh, no,
unless he's talking about the new Lara Croft in the reboot.
New Lara Croft still
New Lara Croft
still has the legacy of having a large bust. It's not comically large anymore, but she still, if she was a real woman, she'd be in the D's at least.
The only one I'm not gonna completely agree with Jax 100% is Samus, and that's only because we haven't gotten a lot of character development from Samus, because a lot of her games are played from. They don't really show a lot of character development, and I refuse to believe Other M exists. So.
Other M was the worst way they could have characterized Samus.
Yeah.
It is. I'm sorry if you enjoy the game. I really am.
Oh
but
no,
this
it has.
Like to the
Other M.
Because that was the shittiest way to portray.
Other M actually has some really good boss battles in it.
Yeah.
But I can't stand the story because of what they did to what I perceive Samus's character as. And the only reason I'm not fully going to agree is because Samus's characterization, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't been fleshed out. And when it was fleshed out, it was done through Other M, which made her into kind of a bastardization of what people thought she was.
I mean, there's comics.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about the comics.
The problem is, now I'm going to use a buddy of I've got a buddy who believes that if the main original media that a character came out in does not portray a character a certain way, it shouldn't be considered official. Mm-hmm. And looking at that with Samus, the main portrayal of Samus's character that we get is through the video games. Yes, there's probably a lot of characterization in the comics, but considering that the main characterization of her is in the games, she's mostly been a silent protagonist who hasn't really taken any actions beyond, let me wind my way through this dungeon, killing monsters and bosses. We finally get some voice and acting out of her in Other M, and she's this almost like practically helpless character. She can help herself in a fight, but she's she's like, she can't do anything without approval, or she's constantly whining about what's-his-face, or she was not as much of like an independent character that I think a lot of people visualized her to be.
It also broke canon because, and I'm gonna, it's kind of controversial, but it did, because when she's on the missions in every other game except for Other M, she is not with anybody. Mm-mm. And yet, whenever she's in Other M, she has to ask for approval.
I would like to raise Metroid Fusion. She's with the computer, which is based on Adam.
That's true.
And she does talk to the computer.
That's true. And I actually like Metroid Fusion. I've played it all the way through. It was actually the first Metroid game I ever played, which is weird, but long story. But it wasn't done in the way that Other M was. I don't know how to explain it.
It's a difficult thing because we have, she didn't have a lot of character development, but she did. It's one of those things that her character kind of evolved based on what people inferred about her. And Jax brings up the point, people actually thought she was male until there was the trick that that ending that you could do where she was in a bikini.
No, anytime she died, you would see her in a bikini. You would see the death of the bikini. Or that was Super Metroid. That was second. Never mind.
That's also in Zero Mission.
Yeah.
And in the newer Metroid games, the better you did, the less clothes that she had on her at the end.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not not saying Samus isn't a good character. It's just compared to Liara, the females in Uncharted, Lara Croft, we just haven't gotten as much characterization as we've gotten with those. So I don't know if she would be a well-written character by my standards. Whereas
which is odd because she's older than all the other characters.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and yet we have a lot better characterization for it. It's like, or less characterization, better in some of the others.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily agree that like Liara, sure, because she's an Asari, and the Asari like specifically have a phase of their life where they go through it are super promiscuous. I wouldn't agree with Tali though.
No.
Tali doesn't even show interest in sexuality until the second game, and that's like obviously she has a crush on you in the first.
Yeah.
The second game she strongly has a crush on you that you can pursue, in which case you give her a cold when you have sex with her.
And I did the Tali romance, and I did it pretty much all through the third. I did a lot of the romances, and I'm still doing a lot in Andromeda. But with Tali, I didn't get her as necessarily promiscuous, but that may not be because she isn't naturally promiscuous. It's just that with Quarians, sex is such a big issue with them because of their immune systems that it's kind of a big deal. So, I mean, I don't know. That may not necessarily not indicate she's not, a crazy horn dog, but maybe she's just more cautious about it because she could die. So, yep. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, we got kind of a tangent there, but it's still kind of tied in the whole idea of, getting strong female characters into games that are still are able to own their sexuality without being able to be owned by it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, when you have that, though, you get excellent fan service because people don't see it as necessarily demeaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely agree. We need to see more strong female characters who can own the sexuality again without being owned by it.
I just think we need more.
Even like with male characters too, just like characters in general, like the idea of having characters in game where half of their selling point isn't the fact that they're attractive, or like, outlandishly so. Like look at characters like Gears of War. Obviously, you're not supposed to like the characters because they're big, bulky dudes, but they're a bunch of grizzled, big, bulky dudes. Like part of their selling point is that they're hyper masculine.
The male empowerment fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think it's also how games have evolved. So like, the way games are today with our technological advancements, games are much more story driven than they ever were in the past, and that's largely because you didn't fit story on the cartridges or whatever they were using.
Oh.
And Bookworm has completely frozen.
She is.
We will come back. We will come back to her later.
She has
Squeaky,
a very
Squeaky,
lovely.
Quiet.
I think that the subtle sexuality, rather than like, they like own it, like they're going to use it as a part of their character. I think the subtle sexuality is actually something more attractive to me in video games. And that completely disappeared. Well, we'll edit that later. Anyways,
I'll try and get her.
Are the frames okay?
Oh,
hold on. Let's wait just a second and see.
It's not GamerKulture show without tech issues.
Yeah, things happened. Okay, that's fine.
That's
there.
true. Tali was
you...
young in the first game.
Okay.
So.
Are you back? Okay, let me fix that.
Did I break the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You broke the frames.
And I fixed it now. Okay.
And
okay. So moving back, I think that the subtle.
And now Squeaky is completely frozen.
No, I'm not. No,
On my
I'm not.
screen you are.
No, I'm not.
It could be because she's messing with it.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No,
Okay.
she's not frozen.
No.
Or if she is frozen, it's on your end. Thank God. Yeah, all of you guys just froze, and I just kept talking, and I was like, and then I realized, and I was like, I don't know how much of what I said got through, but okay, we're doing this now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so going back, I think that subtle sexuality is more attractive to me in video games than like an all-out like it's a part of my character. So I think that especially in Pokemon, the female characters have really spoken to me as a strong and powerful like especially the gym leaders. I think that those are like the people that I've always looked up to as a child and always wanted to like be strong and be confident about my body and about my ability as a woman.
Okay. And I figure the early Game Boy games, like I'm talking Red Blue, the character was like androgynous enough that it could be a female character if you really wanted to be. Red could be female.
Well, no, Red is a male, for sure.
Yeah.
Red Trainer is a male. But it was specifically in Silver when we were introduced to Claire, the dragon gym leader. That character, you could see enough to where her outfit was drawn in a very epic, feminine way. And it was something that was very empowering. Like, she had a freaking cape. And her ponytail was long, and it was, like, flowing. And it was like, girl, you got it going on right here.
Yeah.
And you're with, like, these awesome, like, huge dragons. Like, empowerment to you.
I love it. All right, so we're running a bit long here.
Mm-hmm.
We have gone incredibly long.
Incredibly long.
I think we started at around 26 minutes. I don't think we actually got to the intro till about 5-10 minutes in. But closing thoughts on fan service in games. Do you enjoy seeing it there? Are there ways to do it well? Are there ways to, how would you do it well? Whatever you want to mention, starting with Squeaky.
I think fan service is very good when it has the fan in mind. When it is something that is specifically catered to a person who is a fan of the video game. There is the aspect of sexual. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to the one where it's more like when they like do well with like the fourth wall, the cameos. Like especially in Pokemon. Pokemon has been spot on with its cameos and having like especially Silver itself was just like a huge fan service because first it had like the new region, and then suddenly, you get to go back to where you used to be in the second game. And I think the whole entire half of Silver is a huge fan service right there.
And if you look at the last two games, in particular, they've been very fan servicey as well. Oh my God, Sun and Moon is so much fan service to the old fans. It's amazing.
So freaking much. From the Alolan versions, like, even is just, like, beautiful and perfect.
Alolan forms, Red and Blue being in the game.
Even with Gen 6, wait, what gen are we on? What gen was X and Y in? I don't even know. Anyway, X and 6. Okay, so even with Gen 6, there was a lot of fan service because in those games, you had the lowest amount of new Pokemon that were added, and then you had a lot of Gen 1 in that game, and they had things like Mega Evolutions, and like Pokemon does cater to its fans. They know what their fans want.
Oh my gosh, and like all the like Alpha Sapphire or all those things, like reboots of their video games, those in themselves are like the definition of fan service right there.
Going back, rebooting the old games, adding some new
and making it like good and like updated, like that's fun.
Fixing problems that they had in the past with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's a company.
That company does very well with its fans. Your thoughts?
Oh, okay, sorry. I think fan service is just fine. I like to see, especially when game developers give nods to their community because it shows that they're actually listening to fans. I like when they make fun of themselves for things that they did in previous games because it's the same thing. I even like some of the sexual fan service if it's done well, and because sometimes sometimes I just like it. It's the best way to say it.
Like, I'm into this.
Yeah, I'm like, I can go with this. And also because, there's a game, I think there's a game I own. It's called Haunting Ground. It's a pretty rare PS2 game. And I think you can play the whole game, and it's a horror game in like a dominatrix outfit. And it's just like...
That's just silly.
It's like, yeah, and your weapon when you're playing as the normal like the normal costume, you kick enemies to get them off of you. It's kind of like Clock Tower, sort of. But when you're in the dominatrix costume, instead of kicking, you hit them with a horsewhip.
Love it.
And
all Castlevania style.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous, and it's completely for sex appeal. But you know what? It's hilarious to play this really serious horror game in that. And so, it's just kind of fan service is, when it's done right, it's amazing. Sometimes it can be gratuitous, but also if it sells and you're catering to your market, then I don't see a problem with it.
Alrighty. Card?
They need to do it well, own it, and confidence is key. No matter what, dealing with people, confidence is key.
Yeah.
And if the character that is being sexualized has the emotional strength that they know they're sexy, and they're able to own that, that's even better.
Yeah.
Like Bayonetta is a great example.
Don't make a character sexy and then be like, oh, I feel like nobody likes me and I'm not pretty. I'm like, what? If you're going to make a person sexy, go bring on all the confidence with it. Because if the person in real life knows that they're sexy, they're gonna bring it all on. Yeah.
And then that just comes with writing characters well, which is something I think a lot of people need to learn.
And I agree with pretty much bits and pieces of everybody. I mean, as a guy, sure, I enjoy, a little sex appeal fan service aimed my way, certainly. If it's gratuitous, though, and that's all the game is there to do, it can be silly, like Senran Kagura. It could be laughing. It's like, haha, I'm a jiggly anime girl firing water at other jiggly anime girls. It's like, it's more silly than anything. Or, Extreme Beach Volleyball is more just like, okay, this game is just here to make tongues wag. But if it's done well, if you have a character who ooh, that character's sexy, she has like an edge to her, she's got that confident thing.
Not even her, if he's that way as well.
Yeah, you could have the male character too, where it's like, fuck yeah, he just owns what he is.
They did that in I think it was Metal Gear Solid. I'm bringing Metal Gear up a lot, but Metal Gear does a lot of fan service. They did it in Peace Walker, where you could go on a date with Big Boss. And it didn't matter what character it was. You could bring pretty much whatever character.
And I just, I like the idea of if you're going to have a character in the game who is there to be sexy, make them confident too. Don't just make their gimmick be that they're sexy. Because then it obviously shows it's going to be entertaining for all of 5-10 minutes. And then afterwards it's going to be like, all right, can we take the bimbo out of my party and continue? Unless the character is meant to be like a strong, confident character that happens to use their looks. Jax brought up earlier with Riku. Yeah, Riku is dressed really showy. Jax, she's shown to be very sexy, and she shows off a lot of skin. But definitely in that first cutscene at the beginning of the game, it's because she knows that she's good looking, and she uses her looks to get what she wants. She's able to get past the guard because he's like, kind of like, hey, who's this pretty lady? And she's like, hee, cute smile, nose punch. So yeah, I like that. Worked good. It worked good. Okay, everybody. This was an awesome conversation. I'm really glad we waited to have the whole team here. I loved hearing everyone's different points of view. I loved hearing Card. I loved you bringing up the different kind of fan service. The idea of just throwing in just some fan love, like with game night.
It's poker night.
Poker night. I'm sorry.
Poker night 2. Thank you very much.
Poker night
at the inventory.
Is that what it is? Is that the tagline?
Poker night 2 at the inventory.
I didn't even know it had a tagline. Cool.
I I actually had never heard of that game, and now I want to check it out.
Oh, it's so good.
I could start streaming it after this.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Do it.
If people want to hang around and watch.
I have stuff to do, unfortunately, so I would watch, but I can't stay in a call.
I can be there.
I'm exhausted. I unfortunately I have been up for now almost 24 hours. I'm so tired.
Is it a single player?
Yeah, it's single player.
I want to play with you.
Sorry.
All right, but everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. For all of your gamer culture needs, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch TV, and thegrandgeekgathering.com. The show has been brought to you by the Grand Geek Gathering Network. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us. And a special thanks. What? What's wrong? What's wrong?
You're fine. Just end it. Just end it.
And a special thanks to the band Alex and Alex for granting us permission to the use of their song Glam Jam. Join the gathering, stay cultured, have a great week, and
GGG. And she says GGG too.